Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to take a look at a question from Brent Wells, N4BDW. And he would like to know about his off-center fed dipole. He says, "Thank you for your continued contribution and support of our hobby. I wish I could attach a picture to this, but couldn't see how. How is to send an email to hamradioanswers@gmail.com. That's hamradioanswers@gmail.com. All one word, plural, hamradioanswers, and at gmail.com. And then that's just an ordinary email, and you can attach pictures. Let's see. Okay, but he wants an opinion on this. Last night I took down the long leg of my 80-meter off-center fed dipole from a pear tree in his yard because the tree is flexible and pulls on the wire and balloned during windy days and has broken the wire before. I rerouted the wire about 90 degrees into the back field of one of my neighbors into a bigger, sturdier sycamore tree, but in doing so, I had to run the wire over my metal building. This must be about the sixth metal building question we've had in quite a while. And so about 10 feet from the Ballon feedline connection, my wire hangs only about 1.5 feet from the apex of the metal roof. The roof shape is pretty steep, so it drops pretty sharply on either side. But my question, sorry about that. So it drops off rapidly, but my question, will this affect the RF or radiation pattern pretty substantially? Yes. Thank you again for your time. Let's see what we can do. There's two questions here. The first question is what to do. Now let's pull this out so we get the whole whiteboard in there. The first of all is what to do with trees. Trees have got this nasty tendency to sway in the wind. So if you attach something to a tree up here, you're going to get some sway on that. And believe me, the tree is stronger than just about any wire you can put up there, and it will break the wire. So you're going to have this attached, well, let's say to a house. Now there are a couple different things you can do. One, bungee cords. Put some bungee cords in here that can stretch out about halfway, about, double their length normally, so that as the tree goes this way, it's still here. And I recommend the bungee cords rather than a big rock here, because the bungee cords act very fast, and so as the tree is going in every different direction. Whereas with the mass has inertia, and as the thing is pulled up like this, it can snap back to where actually this thing's in free fall. And then it hits the end of the rope and will snap the rope just because of the inertia in the mass. That's why I would suggest the bungee cords. I would put the bungee cords in some sort of a plastic pipe or something like that to keep the UV off of the bungee cords, because that bungee cords, after all, are just rubber bands and they will break. So that's one thing that you can do. Okay, account for the tree swaying by putting in bungee cords or something like that. Now, by the way springs act and the way mass acts are the equivalent of, in electrical engineering, things like inductors and capacitors. They store energy and then they release it. They store energy and then they release it. A mass and a bungee cord are opposite each other in the way they react, And yes, they can have a resonant frequency. So I'd use one or the other, but I would prefer the bungee cords. You can get some pretty cheap bungee cords that are pretty good at an auto parts store. Would be a good place to go. The second thing to do, here's your tree off in the background, is to take 2 pieces of chain link fence top rail, which are about 10.5 feet long. They insert one into another, and this only works for about 2 of them. You can guy this from the top and then use this as your mast for the end of the tree. This will cost you less than $100, substantially less. More if you have to pay for the cord and the stakes and all that sort of thing. I'll give you a little secret. The base that I use for this is usually just a piece of firewood. But you can attach here. I would recommend about a 3-foot minimum piece of rope between the and the end of the dipole. This will not sway in the wind, so you can pull this thing out tight, and you'll be fine. Now, if you live in a place that has ice storms, of course, this can attract ice and bring it down from that sort of thing. We have ice storms here very occasionally. We had one a while back. I did a video of what it did to my hex beam. Fortunately, it had dragged everything down. It was just hanging down toward the ground. Fortunately, it flexed back into shape when the ice melted. So there's alternative 1. Here's alternative 2 for this guy's antenna to get it up in the air. Now, he says he's got it over to a sycamore tree. Sycamore trees bend too. All trees bend. But it takes it over a peaked metal roof by about 1 foot. And so he's got this over here, and he's got it connected over here. And there's some sort of a metal building, and he's only a foot above it. Does this affect it? Well, let's see. I got to tell you, more than half the phone calls I get are spam. Okay, remember rule number 1 with antennas. Everything affects everything. The answer is yes, this being metal will be reflective of radio waves, and so you will get the normal radiation coming away, and then you will get the reflection coming off of this that will give you a pattern. You can greatly reduce this, not eliminate it, but greatly reduce this by putting a pole here where it crosses it. If you can get yourself like an aluminum tripod or something like that, and bringing this wire up like this, okay? It makes it a tiny bit of an inverted V, but it will get it a little bit further from that building, which could significantly lessen the effects of the metal building and what you've got. Either way, you're going to have a successful antenna, I believe, regardless of what you do. And enjoy those pears from the pear tree. So, if you've hung on this long with this video, I would suggest that you subscribe to the channel. If you do so, that's telling YouTube that you think this is a good channel that they ought to share or feature. That'll bring ham radio to more people. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you may certainly do so. You can go to dcasler.com/support and find all different ways that you can do that. And maybe one of them works for you. And until we next meet, 73.